Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of 3DOn't, the only podcast that dares to not talk about the 3DO. I am Thrak, and joining me is Bill. Bill, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. It is a very hectic weekend. I'm on my third podcast of the day. It is great. How are you, Thrak?
I'm fine. Bill's workaholic nature never ends. And joining us is another famous workaholic. It's Mr. Tony Baloney. How you doing, Tony?
What's up, guys?
I'll know for uploading the video of this, but for audio listeners, his dog is joining him behind us, so we may get a cameo appearance from Tony's beautiful pup over there.
He's just chilling.
He's just chilling until he starts barking that he wants to get out of the room.
So he might get up and leave. Who knows? But anyways, for episode 2, we're covering something spooky today. No, it's not climate change. No, it's not the inevitable downfall of Western civilization. No, it's a Castlevania game. We're going to be discussing Castlevania Symphony of the Night, developed and published by Konami Entertainment, released on March the 20th, 1997. A game that didn't sell well at first. I think it reviewed decently well at the time, but over the years has become regarded as an all-time classic of the PlayStation 1, of the Castlevania series, and being the second half of the Metroidvania subgenre title. Yes. So I figure we'll start with Tony. Tony, what's your history with Symphony of the Night?
My history was I had a friend who got a PlayStation, and I don't know what his father did, but he always had like the newest games. And then like one day I went to his house. I went to our friend's house. And he had like Final Fantasy VII, and he had this game. So it was my first experience to the PlayStation was those two games.
These are two pretty big games.
Yeah,
they're arguably the two of the poster boys of the PlayStation in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure. I like Final Fantasy VII is the one that's like always brought up as one of the highlights of the console. Symphony of the Night's usually like a couple spots down, but if you talk about it long enough, people get to it.
Yeah.
But Bill, what's your history with this game?
So my history with Symphony of the Night was I missed it as a kid, but then I saw all the people on the internet who would shut up about it back in the day, and I saw
don't.
Yeah, well, I saw AVGN's review of the Castlevania series, and then he briefly mentioned Symphony at one point when he was talking about like the later years of the series. And
was that when he was doing his like 3-parter?
Yeah.
Because he talked about how he missed it back in the day because he went from Super Nintendo to N64.
Yeah.
And how Castlevania 64 like kind of killed his love for the series as a fan, and then didn't play Symphony of the Night until many years later. And like grew to really love and appreciate it.
Yeah,
Castlevania 64 is not that bad. I'll die in a hell.
Yeah, it's not very good.
I thoroughly enjoyed it when I was a kid.
It's not good, but it's not the worst thing ever. I do think Legacy of Darkness fixed a lot of the problems.
That's because it's the complete game.
Yeah, it's a remake. That's why I always say Castlevania
it's not a remake.
is bad because they had to remake
it's like literally the other half of the game that they weren't able to put into the first. I think they kind of rushed it out, and then like later in the year they released that one.
Yeah. So it also makes it more pointless because there's a better version of the game to play.
I'll defend it. I'll defend it. It's not that bad. It's not that good, but it's not that bad.
It's got skeletons riding motorcycles. I mean, what more do you want?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's better than the Game Boy games at least.
Yeah, the adventure's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So.
Legend is okay. That's like the only one that's really worth playing.
Adventure 2 isn't that bad.
Adventure 2 is better. Like they get better as you go.
Oh, Belmont's Revenge. Yeah, Belmont's Revenge is fine. Mm-hmm. The adventure's pretty bad though.
But anyways, you got to Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, I saw the little clips of it. I was like, that looks really cool. I want to play that. So I had the birds are back.
Fucking can't stand this. Yeah, I know. I'll mute it until you guys like.
No worries. I was gonna say though, I ended up like really liking the way it looked because I mean it's 2D games on PlayStation. I just think look really cool, and I had gone to at the time retro gaming was such a different place. This was circa 2010, I want to say. Went to the nearest retro game store we had, which was Actually, no. I went to a flea market, so even more obscure.
Hell
And
yeah.
I found this copy for $20 at the time, which it ain't $20 anymore. That's one thing.
Yeah, I wonder what it goes for on
I think go for like 80 to like 150 or something like that.
The black label version is definitely in the hundreds.
Loose is 70, complete is 150.
For the greatest hits or
no,
for
the black label PlayStation American version.
Yeah.
The greatest hits is slightly cheaper.
Yeah,
it's like
probably save like $5,
right?
People really hate that green so much they will pay less money.
I mean, credit to literally every game company that did like greatest hits, player's choice, all stars, whatever. They went out of their way to make them as ugly as possible every time. The greatest hits, player's choice, the PlayStation 2's greatest hits. Sega's All Stars was fine.
I didn't really mind the PS1 green label. I don't know.
I love the green label, but that might just be
green
nostalgia.
Label. Green's also my favorite color, so I guess that helps.
It's just like a weird. It's better than the PS2. Like, who thought burgundy? Burgundy choice. It's just a weird color choice.
The worst best one is still original Xbox Platinum hits, where you look at the cases and it's like what the fuck? Like, the designer didn't know when to stop. He just kept going.
Yeah, I think I have one because I have like a Crash 2-pack because it was cheaper to get it that way, and it's an eyesore, but it saved me some bucks. So
yeah,
that's another thing. Yeah, the greatest hits versions are usually always cheaper. So
yeah,
if you want to get a cheaper copy, go for that.
Yeah,
exactly. So,
but I got the game and I played it and I thoroughly enjoyed it, even though I sucked at it at the time. It's got a bit of a learning curve, I'd say.
I think if you're not familiar with the type of game it's trying to present itself as, I could see that.
I'd never played a Castlevania by that point, so it was like my first.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. Yeah, I had gotten to the game a couple years prior to you, but not that many. Like, I didn't discover Castlevania until the Nerd, because, growing up with an NES, like my elderly siblings who had my older brother and sister who had the NES were more interested in like Mario and like sports games and shit like that. So they weren't interested in like Castlevania or Mega Man or Ninja Gaiden or anything like that.
Yeah.
So Castlevania I discovered through the Nerd and his Simon's Quest video, and then I started looking through the rest of the series, and some of my early emulation experiences were emulating those games through the NES and the Super Nintendo. So I'd developed some bit of a fondness for it, but I hadn't really deep dived into it. And then I was at a retro game store and I saw Symphony of the Night on PlayStation for like $20. This must have been 2008 maybe. And like it was kind of a mangled case. Like I remember like the hinge was falling off and all this other crap, but the manual and the disc were in really nice condition. And I also was able to get Metal Gear Solid from that same place. That was the greatest hits, and it was very nice and clean. And I think I paid not that much more for it. And I played through some of Symphony of the Night. I would say I covered maybe 30% of the game before I stopped playing, because the whole open-ended thing at first I didn't really get it, because I was so used to the more linear Castlevanias that having to go around and explore this giant mansion, and then with a guy who had a sword and didn't use a whip. Like my preconceived notions were challenged. And as a kid, I was like, this is stupid. Fuck this. Right. And then didn't bother with it for many years later until I eventually, through the backwards compatibility program on Xbox, downloaded the 360 version. And that's how I played through the whole thing for the first time. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I was finally able to do it. It just took me a long time to catch up per normal. So, yeah.
Actually, bringing that up, it's actually kind of interesting because this game has been released quite a few times.
Not as much as you'd think, at least compared to some of the other Castlevania games.
True. But I mean, because just thinking off the top of my head, we have obviously the iconic PS1 version.
Yeah. I don't like the American cover.
I hate the American cover. It's so...
my favorite's the European cover.
The European cover is good. My personal favorite is actually the Sega Saturn cover.
The Saturn cover is pretty sick too, because it was definitely an era where like that anime art style, it was becoming popular, but I guess they didn't trust that artwork enough to actually sell. So that's why they went with like the American version is fine, but it's just very plain. It doesn't have a lot of personality to it.
This
Oh,
could
the
be
European version is like an actual cover.
Yeah, the European cover I believe
I've
is
never
Yeah.
looked at it before.
I believe
yeah,
I
a
believe it's
rare
like
occurrence.
I believe it's like that image right there.
It's it's Alucard like standing in front of the castle. What's in the background? The castle's like in the distance,
Oh yeah,
and
they
he's
use that
like
as
holding a
the
sword.
yeah, they use
Yeah.
that for the PlayStation or the Japanese PlayStation cover as well. I really like that cover
Hmm.
because it puts the focus on Alucard, who's the main character, and I is this the debut of that that
Style?
Castlevania art style?
Yes, I
Yeah, because
believe
Rondo of Blood doesn't have it. Like none of the other games before it have it. So I think this is the first time I forget who does this artwork, but it like became sort of the defining artwork for the series.
I believe it was the debut of that artist. Who was it? What was her name? Or their name? No, the composer was female. It was
I'm looking.
Oh no, it is a she. It was Ayami Kojima.
Kojima.
the-
Okay.
Yep. She was the artist.
Yeah. I really like it.
She basically became the series mainstay artist for like years, even though like I know a lot of the DS games for some reason use that weird anime style that wasn't as good.
That was
Like
just bad all the time.
Yeah, like the DS just used more of like your stereotypical anime art style, whereas this one, like the Symphony of the Night cover, it has like a Japanese anime influence, but it's much more like European Gothic. Like it's like European Gothic through the eyes of like a Japanese artist.
It's a very striking look that I think stands out.
Very striking and very defining as well. Like I think most people would associate Castlevania with that style.
Going over like releases though, we have the PlayStation original. It was later ported to the Sega Saturn with additional content and characters. Although it doesn't run as good. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, it's a bit of a controversial port.
Yeah. There's also the Xbox Live port, which I forget what year that came out.
That was 2007.
In port is also weird because it removes the CGI cutscenes for whatever reason.
Yes, but I do remember when that came out because I was playing my 360 all the time, and it was seen as a big deal. But I was too deep in my shooter face to care at that point.
That's also,
unfortunately,
that's also the first time they changed the dub, right? Or is that still the original dub?
It is the original dub.
It's still the original.
I thought they changed it by that point.
They did change it.
I don't think it's changed on
the PSP version.
The PSP version, which is an unlockable because it's the Dracula X Chronicles, where it's that nice remake of Rondo of Blood.
Yeah.
And then when you beat it, you unlock the whole game of Symphony of the Night, which quite a bonus, I would say.
Did you call it a nice remake? Because a lot of people hate it.
I think it's fine.
The remake itself is fine. It's cool. We got it. We did also. This also did come with the. It came with Symphony of the Night and the original TurboGrafx version of Rondo Blood.
Yeah,
so this is actually a really good pack.
Did they translate it on that? Is that the only official translation of it?
Yep.
What you did was you played until you could unlock the original, and you just played the original.
Well, the remake does different stuff. There is reasons to play it.
It's better than Dracula X.
I'm surprised they didn't include that as well.
Like, because I can,
it's not like as a game itself, it's fine. But when you compare it to its source material, it just doesn't hold a candle at all. I don't even know why they did that to Rondo of Blood.
Yeah, well, because the TurboGrafx CD kind of flopped over here, and they wanted a version of it.
Yeah,
I don't know why they It's
not just a different version. Like it's kind of like a neutered.
It's kind of like it's also kind of it's like it feels very rushed too.
It probably was, in all honesty.
Yeah,
it's also really expensive.
Naturally, it's Castlevania. Yeah, and then after the PSP port, there is that it's Castlevania the Requiem collection on PS4, which is just Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night, and that came out in 2018, and famously has not left the PS4. It has not come to anything else.
Yeah,
which
is weird.
Doesn't make any sense. Like it's not on PC, it's not on Xbox, it's not on Switch. People beg for this, at least on Switch, all the goddamn time, and Konami just hasn't bothered. Some people have theories, like, is it like, oh, did Sony pay for it? I honestly don't think so.
No, I think it's just Konami being lazy.
That's what I think it is, yeah.
Other thing too, is in the PSP version, This is actually a unique version of Symphony of the Night because it actually contains. So famously in Japan, in the Saturn version, Maria was playable in the Saturn version. They included her in the PSP version as well, but she plays completely different. Like it's a completely different version of Maria.
It feels like the version of Maria in Sega in the Saturn version is just they just imported her from Rondo of Blood. Like it doesn't feel like they retooled her for the game. They just kind of threw her in there.
I thought Symphony of the Night you play as adult Maria, don't you?
You do. In the Saturn version, she's got like this martial arts based style of combat, which is it's different. It
is different. Yeah,
I didn't know that because I didn't bother playing that when I was replaying it on Saturn.
Maria's play style, if you know how to master it, is broken as fuck.
Yeah, and Igarashi has talked about how that's one of the things he didn't like about the Saturn port because I don't think he had any involvement in it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, and like he understands why some people prefer the Saturn version, but for him, he's like that's not really the definitive version of the game, and I think that's fair. I like that it has Richter unlocked at the very start because playing through Symphony of the Night as Richter is a completely different experience. And in some ways is kind of the preferred experience, but we can chat about that. And also in March of 2020, they released Symphony of the Night on phones.
Yeah.
But it was March of 2020 where I think people were thinking about other things.
So I bought it
under the radar.
I bought it because it was only like $6 or $7, which was like incredibly inexpensive for what you'd considering the IP.
What's that version like? Is it just the PlayStation version?
It's basically Symphony of the Night, but like you can play as Maria and Richter.
So it's probably the PSP version.
Yeah, it has. I think it has like the. Doesn't have the Kung Fu Maria. I guess it has like it has the bird and shit.
Yep, the PSP version.
Oh yeah, I'll say that's Rondo of Blood Maria. But yeah. So this game, narratively, it does fit in. It has an interesting spot in the Castlevania canon. It is a direct sequel to Rondo of Blood.
Yes.
Like there's that famous opening where you're Richter and you're climbing up to fight Dracula. That is the ending of Rondo of Blood, and they intentionally put that in there because that game didn't leave Japan, so they had to give the context for what is going on. And so the game takes place, I think it's 4 years after, and you play as Alucard, the son of Dracula, and this is not his debut in the series. He was also in Castlevania 3 as one of the extra characters you could find, and is probably the best extra character because he can turn into a bat. And so there's a lot of those later challenges in Castlevania 3 that you can just completely go over them by just turning into a bat and just kind of flying right over them. So Alucard's a little bit broken in that game, but it's fine.
In the Japanese version of 3, the pirate guy can like climb anything, and he has like
okay.
And he also has like he climbs anything. He can do it in the US version, but he has infinite his weapon,
infinite daggers,
so you can just like
you can also control his movement in midair. That was a big thing for the series at the time.
Yeah, it's just like you can basically.
Oh god!
You can basically just like cheese all the bosses because you can get infinite daggers. It was basically easy mode.
Yeah, like 3 is very difficult, but if you learn how to cheese the game.
Well, in the US it's difficult. In Japan you have it's not because they adjusted difficulty here because rentals.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, so this 4 years later, you're playing as Alucard, and you've risen from your slumber to explore Dracula's castle. Which, after the end of Rondo of Blood, Richter vanishes, right? And then Dracula's castle comes up again, and everyone's like, god damn it, we got to knock this thing down once again. And so Alucard takes it upon himself to enter the castle and destroy his dad. So, but the big thing with Symphony of the Night is it is not the first, but it's sort of the first proper Metroidvania nonlinear game in the series.
It's the third one technically to do it, but it's the first one to really do it right.
Because the big one before was Simon's Quest, and despite the controversy around the game, I think it was ambitious to do sort of that nonlinear style back then. And if it nailed it or not, I think it depends on who you ask. I think it's Simon's Quest is a game that I think would benefit greatly from a remake. because I think if you put modern Metroidvania sensibilities in that game, I think it would really shine through.
It's kind of a personal favorite of mine, just because I played it growing up.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the game that gave us one of the most iconic pieces of music in Castlevania history.
yeah. It has some faults, but it does have some good things about it too. It's not a completely terrible game. It's just a very flawed game.
It's extremely cryptic.
It's for the time, yeah. Nowadays, it's really not that cryptic, but
I mean, you can just use a guide.
well, yeah. There was also a Vampire Killer on the MSX2, which did a similar thing, but that game never left Japan.
Okay, I've never played that game.
I only know of it because it's been mentioned a lot that like whenever people bring up Simon's Quest, they always are like, technically not the first. Technically, Vampire Killer did it first, but no one played that game.
Exactly. So it's not that big a deal. Konami loved the MSX too. But yeah, this game, it does the non-linear design. You explore the whole castle for the first time. It introduces RPG elements with leveling up and stats and like items to equip with all the stats. And it gets compared all the time to Super Metroid, which is where the Metroidvania term comes from Super Metroid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Though, if you ask Igarashi, he claims he was never inspired by Super Metroid and that he was trying to make a game in the style of the Zelda series. I contest this a little bit. I do think there is a Zelda influence for sure, but you look at the map design and the way the game is kind of structured, it feels very, very similar to Super Metroid. More than just a coincidence.
The map screen alone is like a 1-to-1, like the same thing as the one
like
in Super Metroid.
Like Super Metroid got the map screen down so well that like every Metroidvania has used it since because they nailed it. And Symphony of the Night, uses the exact same thing. So it's just one of those things that like I feel like he just tries to push away from that just because it's such a direct influence. I don't think he wants to make it look like he copied.
That's not big of a deal because Resident Evil blatantly copied Alone in the Dark, and it wears it as a badge of honor. So it's just like,
but Igarashi
is to borrow like.
I think it's just an Igarashi thing.
Yeah, Igarashi's always been kind of weird about stuff like that.
It's just weird, like you borrowed the map and the concept. That's not that big of a deal.
No, not at all. I don't think it's that big of a deal either. But he's always been.
He's also kind of like a egomaniac, I think. So.
He's a weird guy.
Yeah.
He is. He's always wearing that cowboy hat.
He sure is. But he makes good games, so it's like
yeah. And at the time, the game didn't do incredibly well. I would be Tony, do you know anything about like reviews of the time from this? Did you read any in like magazines?
I don't remember. I just remember I liked it. My friend liked it. I mean, it got platinum hits, or greatest hits, so it sold well enough.
It sold decently well, yeah. And I'll say, looking at reviews from the time, people seem to like it.
I think it reviewed pretty well. It's just like
it was.
I know they forced in those 3D cutscenes. I think probably because they want 3D.
Because the year was 1997, and the big hotness was games that were 3D. Like when after Mario 64 came out, every game needed to be 3D, right? That's the general consensus. And so games like Symphony of the Night kind of fell into the background because they were considered outdated. Like for some people it might be weird to think, but yeah, there was a time where like if your game was 2D, it wasn't considered good enough.
Well, I mean, in the US at least.
In the US at least, and on consoles. Because I know the arcades were.
Because in Japan they didn't give a fuck. They do whatever. But I think in the West it was by at least Sony in the West. It's a big push to have like 3D graphics. Yeah,
that was.
I mean, I think Nintendo and Sega were doing the same with their consoles as well, really pushing those 3D.
But they still have side-scrolling games and shit, so they weren't like afraid of it.
I mean, they all had them.
Yeah.
Nintendo's different because the N64 was its own weird thing.
Well, and Nintendo only had like, what was it, like 2 side-scrolling games, Yoshi's Story and Kirby, and they were like,
there was
Mischief Makers.
Mischief Maker.
That's not them.
Oh, I think
it's an N64 game.
Yeah, for sure.
There's also that weird like sim game. That's not really a sim game. The doll. You know what I'm talking about? We had it was like a robot doll you had command around. It was like a side-scrolling adventure game.
Isn't that Mischief Makers?
No, there was like I gotta look the shit up.
Yeah, but anyways, while you're looking that up,
I was gonna say though, the big thing with the PlayStation at the time was the guy who was the main driving force behind that 3D preference was Bernie Stoller. Like he famously was the big no RPGs, no 2D games, and then Final Fantasy VII happened, and Sony basically was like, "Yeah, you get the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
And then he went to Sega, did the same shit at Sega.
Yeah, and then
look what happened there.
Yeah. Though I think they kicked him out. What was it, like right after the Dreamcast came out?
Yeah, the Dreamcast was arguably one of the few good things he did over there. Bernie Stoller's an interesting guy. I don't think he was all bad, but like he had some very questionable choices.
Yeah. But the prevailing thing at the time was for like Western console gaming, 3D was seen as the big future, right? And anything that was seen as 2D was considered outdated. And even a marquee series like Castlevania, which was one of the bigger gaming series at the time, like people thought, oh, they were falling back because of the 2D thing. But the big thing with this game, it sold well because of like word of mouth. So I imagine people were like, oh, it's 2D, but it's like really fucking good. Look at this like cool shit that they did. And it gradually developed that cult following over time to where now I think there's a bunch of people who would consider this the best game in the series. I wouldn't, but I
Not
think...
me personally, but I know why they would say that.
Yeah, like I think it's fair to say it's a top 5 game in the series. I think that's a fair thing to say.
Oh, by the way, it was Wonder Project J 2.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I actually want to check.
I've never heard of that game.
Yeah, it's it was a SNES game, and it was a sequel on N64 where it's like you can choose like this like a robot girl, and I guess you go on an adventure and shit. I haven't really played it, but I've like it's like it's kind of a sim game, but you also like
interesting.
And imagine like I guess Pac-Man 2, but good.
Oh, okay.
In the way you control them.
Oh no,
it's a low bar already.
I heard Pac-Man 2, and at first I thought Pac-Man World, but then you said good, and I went, oh no, I know what game he's talking about.
Yeah.
Thrak's favorite game.
God.
Adventure. I mean, it's the same concept, but like.
Does it give you direct control of the character?
I really don't. I think you have to command it, but like. But it learns some shit. It's been so long since I played it.
All right.
Well, the problem with Pac-Man,
I'm gonna hunt that down because I want to give it.
But it's actually like where's the fucking chat thing in here? I don't know.
Oh, it's over on the side.
Private chat.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat.
Gotcha. What's funny is, where is I going? I lost my train of thought. Shit. We were saying like, Symphony of the Night is arguably it's the most when people think of the series, this is the game that usually is the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, I would say it's like the most universally beloved game in the series, I think, because it like kind of it's at like a perfect crossing point where like old school fans can like it because it's, in the old school era, but then like say newer fans who grew up on the GBA and the DS games find something to click with it. It's like it's just that kind of happy middle ground where I think like the entire Castlevania fan base can find something to like about it. Even though I think the structure of it was improved later with those GBA and those DS games, but as a like a beginning for the nonlinear stuff, at least how we know them, handled it really well.
I mean, it's my favorite of the Metroidvania ones, but then again, I'm kind of biased because I grew up playing it, kind of thing. But
that's fair. I still have such a soft spot for Portrait of Ruin, but that's because that's like the one I really got into back in the day.
I'm an Aria of Sorrow guy. I love that game.
That's a great game too. Honestly, they're all so good.
Yeah. So we've been mentioning this guy named Igarashi. So for those of you who don't know, Koji Igarashi is his full name. He's like a video game producer, programmer. He got started with Konami in the early 90s, working on the Gradius 2. And I think he worked on a Twin B game as well. But Symphony of the Night was his first proper debut in the series. He's credited as assistant director, programmer, and scenario writer. So he is like his imprint is all over this game. And because the game became such a popular entry in the series, he basically was the Castlevania guy after that, much in the way like, say, Keiji Inafune was the Mega Man guy. but not as toxic, not as. So basically, yeah. So from like Castlevania Chronicles onward to what was the last one he worked on? I think it was Harmony of Despair. Yeah. So from Symphony of the Night to Harmony of Despair in 2010, he had his hand in just about every Castlevania game that was made, and I think most people remember that era of Castlevania as being a solid run. Like you had the great GBA and DS games, and like even like say Lament and Curse of Darkness on the home consoles weren't bad either. Like they're pretty solid for what they are.
They weren't bad.
They've been kind of, I think, forgotten because like Castlevania and 3D never seemed to properly blend the way I think people wanted them to.
The
but
thing
Curse of
about
Darkness, I've played a good chunk of it, and it's not bad. It's not a bad game at all.
Curse of Darkness, I like for the most part. It Lament, it was basically just Castlevania of combat rooms, from what I remember. It's been so long since I played it.
The thing with Lament of Innocent is he made that game, but Konami basically in their infinite wisdom decided we're only going to give you the same budget we would have given you for a GBA game.
Oh,
Make
wow.
it work.
I didn't know that.
Make it work.
That sounds like a Konami move.
It's a very Konami move.
That actually makes Lament seem pretty impressive.
It makes a lot of sense when you play it because you're like, yeah, this was made on a budget.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like he was kind of the guy. I mean, like we don't get Castlevania games really anymore, and I think Igarashi was one of the reasons we were getting.
Well, I mean, we have
basis.
We have Bloodstained, so
yes, he has famously he left Konami, formed his own studio, and has been working on a spiritual successor called Bloodstained. So
it's the successful Kickstarter from a popular developer.
That was a Kickstarter that came out at such a weird time for Kickstarters because that was like right after the Mighty No. 9 debacle, and
that kind of killed Kickstarter.
Yeah,
for gaming anyway.
I just remember because like that came out and like it was like everyone was worried about it, and then he actually delivered and it made a good game. And he also released like a tech demo for it too that people played that people were satisfied with.
Yes, he also was going out of his way to basically give the middle finger to Konami at every step because he made a big deal about he was hiring David Hayter to be in the game.
And now it's a franchise. Then they just announced like a Bloodstained 2.
Yep, they're making a console sequel.
Well, there was also like all the companion games because one of the original like stretch goals was they would make a game that was a tribute to like the original Castlevania styles with Bloodstained Curse of the Moon.
Yeah, and that was successful. Then they made a sequel to that. So it's like
that came out before Ritual of the Night because Ritual of the Night I think got delayed like once.
Yeah, it got delayed several times, and there's several ports that just never came out. Like I think the 3DS was supposed to get one.
I think the 3DS got killed.
Still waiting on
it. I think they canceled the 3. They killed the 3DS,
and I think like the Wii U version never came out.
Well, yeah, I mean, that to be honest,
that didn't surprise
is
anybody.
Anyone really missing that?
Exactly. But
there's at least 3 people out there mad about it.
So yeah, Curse of the Moon came out as well, and that was like a tribute to the originals, and that game is really good. And then it was so good it got a sequel like 2 years later, which people really liked as well. And Ritual of the Night, I still need to get around and playing it because a lot of people consider it Symphony of the Night too.
It's basically Symphony of the Night, like a successor. It's pretty fucking hard too.
It's Symphony of the Night 2, but with some Order of Ecclesia elements.
Yeah, he left Konami and made his own Castlevania franchise.
Basically. And now, as you said, Tony, that's yeah. And as you said, Tony, that's now getting a sequel called Bloodstained: The Scarlet Engagement. And its release date is for 2026. We shall see. And yeah, it looks good. I mean, when I first saw the Scarlet Engagement trailer, I thought, oh, we're getting a new Castlevania. It's just another Bloodstained.
It might as well be Castlevania.
Honestly, yeah, it could be. So, but anyways, Symphony of the Night. We went through all that stuff. Yeah, what do we all think of this game?
It's a fucking banger, dude. It's a goat, as the kids say.
It is a great game. It has one flaw that we'll get to later, but it's not big enough to ruin the experience for me.
No, get to it. Just say it right now, goddammit.
Okay, so imagine this. You get through the game, and you beat what you think is the final boss. And then the game says, you know that game you just finished? Do it again, but upside down.
I don't think that's a flaw. I think
The
that's
reverse
actually
castle?
one of the coolest things about the game.
This might just be taste. I find the reverse castle to be an interesting idea that gets kind of repetitive after a while.
Yeah, to be fair, when I do replay it, I mean, when I just replayed for this, I did beat it, but like, I usually lose my interest. Usually gets lost at some point somewhere in the reverse castle.
My problem with the reverse castle is I like the whole gimmick of it. I think that's really cool. My only issue with it is it's basically you're going through the castle again, but now it's more of a pain in the ass to get through.
Yeah, because you have like those fucking like those skeletons that just shoot fucking lasers out their chest and just fuck your day up. And then
there's
just trapped everywhere.
And the environment is just not designed to traverse anymore. So you have to kind of figure it out, which, like I said, it's a minor flaw. It doesn't ruin the experience. It's just one of those things that I've always kind of been like, I've always felt weird about it. Like,
I always liked it. I always thought it was like really cool. I mean, by the time the castle goes upside down, you're so much more powerful now with all these crazy abilities that it's a lot easier to traverse through. I mean, you spend most of the time like as a bat flying through everything because, as you said, like when you flip it, you can tell they didn't really think about like how easy it would be to traverse when it's upside down, though I think that's part of the point. But it makes certain things like, oh, being a bat and flying around is more like necessities, and it kind of kills the experience because then it's not as fun.
Plus, you level up
I like it.
You level up extremely quickly too.
Yeah,
because
and you
everything
can,
in there can
you can have
fuck you
specific,
up.
and you can have specific like builds that just completely break the game.
If you get the
absolutely nothing.
2x Crusagram.
Yeah, you get the moon rod, the shield rod, and a shield, and then you get the Alucard shield, and then you just press X to win.
Basically, yes, you just press X to win at that point.
So you only need one Crusagram, but I ground out 2 just for the fuck of it, and just have 2 Crusagrams.
Yeah, why not? Fuck it, right? So, but yeah, but even still, despite that, I think it's still a super fun game to play.
Oh yeah,
and I forgot we need to talk about the dialogue, the VA. Everybody knows it. It's probably the most infamous thing about the game. Like the soundtrack is great.
Oh yeah.
What's her name? Michiru Yamane, is that her name?
Yeah, she's basically
amazing
the main
soundtrack.
She becomes like one of the most recurring Castlevania composers of all time, for good reason, because her music is phenomenal.
She's the Uematsu to Igarashi's Sakaguchi, basically.
Yes,
like they kind of got joined at the hip, and she did basically all the Castlevania games that he worked on, and then did the Bloodstained games because she left Konami around. I think, did she leave before Igarashi did? It says she left about 2008, roughly.
Yeah, I think she might have went freelance around then because a lot of composers just went freelance.
Yeah, and she also has credits in like some of the Suikoden games. She worked on Elebits, an interesting little Wii title. Even did like some Sparkster Rocket Knight Adventures music. Which, that music's great. Did one of the GBA TMNT games. Good for her.
Oh,
Good
nice.
for her. And yeah, her music is just is a real defining point of the game, where, like, I think Rondo of Blood had already set the stage for how good CD quality audio would be for Castlevania games, but for most people, Symphony of the Night was their first sort of exposure to it, and yeah, it's still an amazing soundtrack, and it's coupled with one of the most unintentionally amazing voice acting jobs of all time. Like, it's good.
One thing that you'll once you notice it, you'll never be able to unhear it. Richter Belmont is voiced by Scott McCulloch, who is also the voice of Chris Redfield in the original Resident Evil.
I did not know that.
Once you notice it, you'll never be able to unhear it.
I can hear it in my head now. So yeah,
guy. It is the same guy.
I never knew that.
That's amazing.
He's narmy as fuck, but I kind of love it because his line delivery is so bad. The guy that everyone loves, though, is Robert Belgrade as Alucard, who I think does a pretty legit job, all things considered.
Yeah, I think so. Who's the guy who did Dracula?
Oh, that guy just hams it up the entire time. Who was Dracula?
Yeah, who is Dracula?
Michael Gunin, apparently.
Did he do any other work?
He was Harry Mason in Silent Hill, the original.
I did not know that either.
Oh, that's
or
awesome.
Yeah, I think it was either the original or the.
I'll say, yeah.
Probably the original, I would imagine, because they came out around the same time. I think.
Oh, he was also the race commentator in Ridge Racer.
Oh, now we're
That's
talking.
fun.
That is very fun.
Fun thing about Robert Belgrade, though, he is actually a pretty well-known VA. Mostly in the sense of he was the announcer. I'm trying to remember what series it was. I believe it was like the Soul Calibur games. He did like the announcing in a lot of them, which is kind of cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah, I'm playing all this in my head, so that tracks, I think.
He also played characters in Shenmue and Shenmue 2.
keeping up the strong VA portfolio, right?
Yeah.
I love Shenmue. I'll die on the defending Shenmue hill.
No, that's fair.
But yeah, Symphony of the Night. What a great fucking game, right, Bill?
Yes, it is. So here's another fun little technical thing about this game. Apparently, this game is built on a 3D game engine.
I never knew that.
Well, because you'll notice like the clock tower famously is a 3D model in the background, and there's like these 3D effects all throughout it. From what I've gathered, the game is actually built on it's a 3D engine, and they just made 2D graphics over it.
Oh, that makes sense, I guess, for the time.
That is one of the reasons why the Saturn version is so not as good, because the Saturn famously 3D was a struggle.
Yeah. And yeah, for being a 2D game, as we had mentioned before, like the PlayStation, the 32-bit era of games had some of the most like gorgeous 2D art that has ever like been made, right? And I think Symphony of the Night is a great example of it. Like it's a game that has aged incredibly well.
Alucard's sprite animation is so fucking good.
Yeah, it's so expressive, and a lot of the ways the enemies interact on screen when they'll interact differently when they see Alucard and all that, and a lot of the art design has carried through like right up into like the DS games, where it feels like they're just reusing the same models because they were so good. Like you might as well just keep touching them up, right?
I think some of my favorite animation are those like those two skeletons are like holding that like that one guy up, and you kill him, and the skeletons run around, and they just flare their arms around.
Yeah. It's always really good.
I love the animation of Dracula just throwing the wine glass at the start of the game. Like that's
great too. What is a man?
What is a man?
I mean, apparently,
little pile of secrets.
I mean, apparently that quote is like it's almost a direct quote. Like apparently, according to this, it was taken from the works of French novelist André Malraux, if I'm saying that right. Because I mean that like what is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. I'm like, I feel like somebody had said that before. You know, it's such an amazing line, but I think it's not so much the line, but it's like the delivery of it, you know, with the wine glass throwing and everything, and the way Dracula just seems so fed up with everything.
Yeah.
Which is like my favorite part of the start of Symphony of the Night is just how Dracula just doesn't give a shit anymore.
He's fed up that people come in his fucking house.
Yeah. It's a shame they don't carry that through later games in the series as much.
And is this the first game where they like acknowledge the whole like the villagers killed his wife and everything? Or was that
yeah.
Okay. I was wondering that when I was playing it, because I know the animated series goes into it in depth.
The animated series makes it so much. It's weird how the animated series made Dracula almost a sympathetic character, which is very fun to me.
Yeah.
Because they kind of just like throw in like Alucard's mom dying, and you're just like, what? Because there's no real like backstory, and I was wondering like, I don't think it was in Rondo. It definitely wasn't in Rondo. It definitely was in 3. So it's like
he's not in Rondo, and in 3 he's basically a different character. In all honesty,
it's like they kind of just like threw this in this random like boss fight you do. It was like she was I think it was like the succubus or something, and then she like tries to pose as his mother, and you just kill her.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Did you notice the translation error at the start of the game?
Which version?
in the PlayStation version, when you start the game, you play that little Richter section, which is supposed to be like the end of Rondo of Blood.
Yeah.
It's supposed to say Rondo of Blood, but they accidentally made it say Bloodlines, which is like, that's the wrong
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I just thought that was like maybe the name of the stage or something that they were using.
No, it's I believe it's supposed to be Rondo of Blood, but they mistranslated it to Bloodlines, which confused a lot of people back in the day, apparently.
Yeah, because we got Bloodlines, and that's nowhere in that game at all.
No, we ironically we got a Bloodline sequel years later, but
yeah, that we did. Yeah,
I always thought that was very interesting. There's a lot of weird typos and stuff.
I mean, it was that era really where like video game translations were not taken.
It was like one person doing it. You're lucky it's not more.
Yeah, yes. It's not necessarily a fault of the translator. It's just when you have one guy doing it, you're gonna have typos and errors. It just
one guy doing it, and they had no time.
No.
Yeah. What'd you guys think of the what'd you guys think of the somewhat conveniently hidden load times?
Oh, the hallways, yeah. Did you know on the hallways it says CD?
Yeah, the loaded. Those
those
hallways are so iconic that they keep them in the fucking cartridge games, even though there's no load times.
It's a nice way of like transitioning from each area one to the next.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's also another thing that Metroid kind of did, but
I just think it's funny that they keep the CD logo even in the like GBA and DS games. And I'm just like, these don't belong here anymore.
And I always loved how the save, like the little save icon, is just like a weird 3D floating like D20 die. And it's like beating like a heart for no fucking reason, And
then it turns into a coffin.
Yeah, like the later games, it was just more like, oh, it's like a statue that like you pray to reheal and everything. It was just like this weird thing, but it's iconic. It has all these weird little quirks about it, I think.
Did any of you guys get the bad ending the first time you played?
I was playing on retro achievements, so I killed Richter to get the achievement.
I did it because I knew what I had to do to get to the upside down castle, so I didn't bother.
I didn't know because I went into this game 100% blind. I killed Richter my first playthrough and got the bad ending, and I was like, "That's fucking it."
Yeah, and you're like, "That's it, game's done." Yeah, and then it's like, "Oh, there's a whole second half."
I looked it up after. I was like, "Oh, you got to be fucking kidding me!" So I had to play the whole game again.
How long did it take you guys to realize that the holy water is fucking overpowered?
Oh, right away.
Whenever I got the holy water,
because you could just fucking you can kill 90% of the bosses, and at least in the castle, in the first castle, just stand right in front of them. There's still a bunch of holy water.
Yeah,
I do have to say too, I really think it's funny. So one of the things Metroidvanias always have that I find hilarious is their whole way of just neutering the character at the start of the game, because they always kind of tease you, making them OP as fuck for no reason. And then being
ranking the Metroid Samus is weak now moments is hilarious because some of them make sense and then some of them make no fucking sense at all, and it's amazing.
I always think
I like Symphony of the Nights one where it's like you start out super powerful, like one-shotting these giant wolves, right? And then you just get to a part and Death shows up and he's just like, "Fuck you, I'm taking your shit."
Yeah, Death's like, "Oh, you're having fun, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm taking this now.
Have fun punching these skeletons now."
No, in the PS1 version, if you go in that room and then backdash out immediately, you bypass the entire scene. You can keep the armor and everything.
Yep.
Really? That I did not know. That's
they took it. I'm not sure if the greatest hits version has it, but I know in the original version, because it was a bug, and so they took out every other version since.
I gotta try that. I've never done that in the greatest hits. I gotta try and see if it works.
Yeah, neither have I. That's great.
It might be in the greatest. That's up in the air. Because greatest fix, they always fix the bugs and shit. But
yeah,
and then if you find the moon rod, you're just fucking OP from the fucking the entire game, because you don't find Aliquid's shield until a good ways into the upside down castle.
Yeah, it's part of what attributes to this game's legacy is just all the different things you can experiment with and almost break the game and
the familiars.
I love the sword.
Yeah,
the sword is my favorite.
The sword is so good.
This time I leveled up the sword quite a bit. I never did it before because it takes forever. And
I love how
at one point it just torpedoes towards every enemy.
Yeah, I love how the sword is such a dork too. He's like, "Avenge ye, sir," and he's just flying around.
Yeah,
just stupid shit like
just
that.
Adds to all the personality. And then there's that guy who's controlling the I forget what it is. It is like the boat.
Oh yeah, the boat guy.
Yeah, the boat guy. The boat guy is great.
That's a throwback to Castlevania too.
Mhm.
Yeah, just
love
all
the
these
little
random little
librarian.
quirks. Oh, librarian's
Librarian.
great. Yeah.
The main villain's name is Shaft. That's always funny to me.
That'll never not be amazing.
Also, do you guys just backdash everywhere?
No,
I walk normally.
I don't think backdashing is really that convenient as a means of traversal. Like people try to say so, but like if you mash the button, it doesn't make you go faster. It really doesn't. You just go.
Oh no, you have to hit it around. There's like a specific way you do it where he like just goes like just goes fast, like flying.
Oh,
everywhere.
like skiing.
Yeah, it's a very.
Walk.
It's really fun.
You eventually find shoes that let you like dash forward. If you just hit W, you just hit forward twice, and you just kind of not run, but you go pretty fast.
Yeah.
Anytime you watch a speed run or like a hardcore like Castlevania Let's Player, they always are doing the backdash trick. So you end up just like for your entire playthrough just hearing nothing but everywhere he goes, and it's like this is great.
I mean, it's fun to do, but after a certain point, it gets annoying because of some of this level design.
Oh, that's speedrunners are insane. They like just figure it out and they just like master it.
Yeah, I'm curious now. What is the Symphony of the Night speed running record? I'm curious now. Let's see, 15 minutes 35 seconds.
What the fuck? To just get to Dracula's room or to like beat the entire game?
It says any %, so I think it is like beat the game. But you know these like exploit all these like random glitches and shit that you'd never know.
It's probably like
they did on the 360 version too.
I mean, it's technically
the 360 version seems to be the popular version. I mean,
technically, if you kill Richter, you do beat the game. So
yeah. So who knows? Who knows?
The Saturn version, we should probably talk about some of the differences.
Yeah. So I think most people are familiar with the PlayStation version, which is pretty, it's what we expect. But yeah, the Saturn version, a strange version, came out a year later. It was released only in Japan, and I'm trying to think. I think the only reason they ported it to Saturn in Japan was because Saturn was a viable console in Japan, so they're like, oh, we have this game people like, fuck it, let's put it out there, so let's see what happens. Yeah,
I love the name of it too. It's Akamunjo Dracula X Gekka no Yakasoyoku.
What does that mean?
Demon Castle Dracula X Nocturne of the Moonlight.
Sure, why not?
Symphony of the Night is such a better name.
It is, but I love Dracula X is just a kind of cool. The X makes it sound cool.
I mean, yeah, Dracula X is a cool name. It's just they never really used it properly.
No, no, not at all.
It was a 90s thing. You put X in front of everything. Yes. Dracula X, Mega Man X,
Samurai
Tony X.
Sonic X.
That was 2000s.
Gotta go faster. Well, Sonic's always been like behind a decade, so
somehow. But anyways, yeah, this very the Saturn version is such an interesting game because like there are people who think it's like the best version of the game. There are people who think it's like the worst version of the game, but it's different enough to be like a talking point.
It's objectively the worst version of the game from a performance standpoint. Yeah, but it has so much interesting like stuff added to it that it kind of makes it makes up for it in a way.
Yeah.
Like
like it has like new areas, new bosses.
It has new areas, but the new areas aren't very interesting.
No, the new areas are completely pointless. They have nothing to do with the main game.
It felt like they just added them in to kind of give the Sega Saturn version something a little different.
And then
like if you waited long enough for it, like here's some like extra goodies, like they even remixed some of the songs. And
yep. It's the only time in the series in the game you will hear Bloody Tears and Vampire Killer.
Yeah.
And then they made it again cinematic convoluted for some reason.
Yeah.
It's like you press start and hit like the L button, I think. Or some shit.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, there's a mod for the Saturn version that just lets you push up and start.
Yep.
Instead of that nonsense.
Yeah, because navigating the menus in the Saturn version is so annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of the menus, though, interestingly enough, the game also famously added a third hand. Where's the third hand? I don't know. You can debate that in your heads.
It's where the fourth hole is.
Exactly. The third hand's kind of cool though, like because basically you can use that third hand to hold items, and then you can have both your hands free for weapons, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's neat. You know, it adds a lot of neat, interesting things. Like the big one is Maria being a fully playable character. I think she's also a boss fight in the game as well.
Yes,
you fight her, but like to prove yourself.
Yeah, yeah, but I think the coolest thing about the Saturn version is that it gives you Alucard, Richter, and Maria at the start.
Yes.
So if you want to just say replay the game as like say Richter, because if you beat the game on the PlayStation version, you unlock get the good ending, you unlock Richter, and Richter, he just controls like the Belmonts.
He like controls like Simon from Super Castlevania 4.
Exactly. Like you don't have any of the RPG stuff to deal with. Like you get sub weapons, but it's all kind of handled like.
You get my favorite move in all of Castlevania, the Limp Wiggle Whip.
Yes, which originally debuted on Castlevania 4,
but
seems to find its way into other Castlevania games throughout the course of it.
Because it is the dumbest move ever that's super fun to use, because the limp just goes whip and you just like flail it around.
Yeah, it's
super fun to use, but it's also kind of useless.
Yeah, it's not as useful as in which
Circle of the Moon had the spin whip.
Where you just like the windmill basically.
Yeah,
that's pretty dope.
He's doing the windmill. I just imagine Nathan Graves is just like in the middle of a fight and he just starts swinging it around. And like, what are you doing?
Yeah, why not, right? But for Richter to make up for, say, the lack of all the RPG item stuff and leveling up, you get all these really fucking ridiculous like combo moves that you can do. Where you can do like slide kicks and crazy uppercuts and backflips and all this other crazy shit. And he creates a different learning curve to the game compared to, say, Alucard, who's a lot more kind of plain. But it makes a second replay of Symphony of the Night as Richter a lot more entertaining because you approach the castle from a completely different perspective.
Oh yeah,
and it's treated more not as like a RPG, like an action RPG, but more of just like a crazy nonlinear Castlevania game. Like it feels more a Richter playthrough of Symphony of the Night is what like Simon's Quest should have been. Kind of taking that Castlevania formula, but giving it that open world.
It's basically if Castlevania 4 was an open-ended game.
Yeah, but it's far and away better than Castlevania 4 because the sub-weapons actually have fucking purpose, and the level design is actually accommodated for the moveset. So, Castlevania 4 is just this breezy game. So it's the easiest game in the series, and I just get bored after a while because it's not that challenging.
Castlevania 4 is like the second or third remake of the first Castlevania game.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I've said it before, but like 4 is not a bad game. I just think it's like overrated and just it could have been something a lot more.
4 was a good tech demo of the Super Nintendo at the time.
No, yeah, it's a beautiful game. The soundtrack is great. It's
the controls
fun to play.
Are kind of its big thing, but like the game itself,
it's fun to play, but it's like I just don't enjoy it because I think a lot of the challenge and limiting control is what makes Castlevania Castlevania, and 4 completely throws that out the window, which fine, but when you make a standard Castlevania game with this crazy control, there's this clash of like game design philosophies that I think 4 like just creates that problem. And so many people love this game, and it just kind of irks me because then it paints this picture of what Castlevania should be when it's like they never did it again. And I think there's a reason they never did it again because there's no reason for it. You don't need to whip in 8 directions. You don't need to have incredible control over your jumps. You don't need all this crazy stuff because it kind of just completely neuters Castlevania unless you completely change the level design to base itself around all of that 8 directional whipping, but they never do.
To be fair, too, Super Castlevania 4 is arguably the weakest of the 16-bit Castlevanias because, like, Bloodlines, I still think is way better.
Bloodlines is better. I mean, Dracula X is a worse game, but honestly, I'd rather play it.
I don't know. I don't like Dracula X also.
I was going to say the best 16-bit Castlevania, even though it's technically 8-bit, if you want to be real, is Rondo Blood.
Yeah, the whole TurboGrafx. Yeah, Rondo of Blood is much in a way the better game of the bunch.
Arguably the best 2D Castlevania game.
It's the best classic.
Yeah.
Depends. Yeah, I'm still I'm with Bill. I'm more of a Bloodlines guy myself.
Bloodlines is cool because it everyone praises for how it used the Super Nintendo to good effect, which I do agree. Bloodlines pushed the Genesis to its fucking limits at times.
Yeah, and you have extra control over certain things, but it's not too much. Like, say, you can whip diagonally up when you're jumping. So if you whip up, you have to commit to that jump, and it still feels like a traditional Castlevania game, but with some 16-bit flair to it. You know what I mean? In comparison.
There's also just some of the effects in that game are like, damn, they were pushing the Genesis hard.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
going up the tower.
Going up the tower, the freaking boss that's made of gears. That's really cool.
Yeah, so much really cool stuff in Bloodlines. And I feel like some of that philosophy is carried over into Symphony of the Night with some of the more interesting boss battles.
No, by far. I'm trying to think another cool thing Symphony does. Anything else that the Saturn version does? It's mostly those minor things.
Yeah, because outside of that, it performs not very well. It has noticeably more load times. And as you said, the 3D effects due to the Saturn kind of struggling with 3D, they just don't really pop.
Yeah, like the fucking
much.
The 3D model of the casket looks fucking terrible.
The transformation effect of Dracula at the start of the game looks horrendous on the Saturn compared to the PlayStation version.
Yeah, and I think also like the resolution is fucked up. Because I think the Saturn outputs at a greater resolution than the PlayStation, so it does cause like they kind of blow up the image a little bit, so it doesn't look as clean as well.
Yeah,
that was something I noticed.
The PSP version, on the other hand, too, it's also somewhat unique. It's like we said earlier, Maria is playable, but she uses a moveset more similar to her Rondo of Blood character, where she has like animal friends. It also, they redubbed the game with like modern actors, and it's better, but like somehow worse.
It loses all of its charm.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the redub of Akira, where it's better, but I want Leonardo to be Kaneda.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's Liquid Snake.
Yeah. And the PSP version, people seem to like that one, but again, it lacks sort of that character. I can talk a little bit about 360 port. It was done by a Backbone Entertainment, who I think are still around.
They're Digital Clips. Oh,
Digital Clips, yeah. And apparently it was the first Xbox Live Arcade title to exceed the 50 megabyte file size restriction. Because I guess back then they were trying to keep games small.
Yeah.
For Symphony of the Night, they're like, nah, we should make it bigger because it's Symphony of the Night.
That's probably the reason why the CGI cutscenes are gone, to be honest.
Yeah. It was to save space. They got rid of all the FMV sequences. They're in the Japanese version apparently.
Oh.
So they did bring them back. But outside of that, it's a pretty faithful rendition of Symphony of the Night. Like it has the original dub, and it's the PlayStation version. Like you don't get to slip between Rector or Maria, basically. So
I remember that it was a pretty big deal at the time because people fanboys were like, "Fuck you, Sony!" PS3 guys, we got fucking
the classic
motherfucking night. Yeah.
PS3 versus Xbox is one of the best consoles.
Before
the pettiest fucking shit.
Before the classic version eventually came out on the PS3, but for a while it was like,
it was like the first proper re-release of Symphony of the Night, because I think it was before the PSP version.
Yeah, it was. It was. That's why it was the whole.
Yeah, that's why it was a whole big deal.
I
know. I completely forgot about this, but the Gamecom apparently was getting a port of Symphony of the Night. Released, but there like a prototype of it was leaked out onto the internet. So if you guys do some sleuthing, you can see Symphony of the Night running on Gamecom. If you want to see that nightmare that would have been.
I mean, come on, man. The Gamecom ran Resident Evil 2.
Barely. It ran a PowerPoint of Resident Evil 2.
It ran Sonic Jam and Duke Nukem 2. And also my favorite, that Batman game where like every time he gets punched, it sounds like he's taking a dump.
What?
Oh,
That's one of the best lines in the AVG.
It doesn't sound like he's taking it up. It sounds like he's relieved.
No,
like
it sounds like it sounds like Bluey's dead.
Oh, kind of does. Yeah, that's a better fit. But yeah, if you guys, find that video of Symphony of the Night on Gamecom. It looks a lot better than you'd think. Like it's like decently competent for what the Gamecom could do, but let's be real, the Gamecom couldn't do much.
Well, what's funny
and I
is
could only imagine if this properly released, it would be like $1,000 for the Gamecom. Because like 10 people would have bought it, and then it would have been like one of those things you go on eBay and see the price and go, this is fucking stupid. But then somebody you emulate it on your computer and go, why would anybody do this? Why would
it's like a sealed copy going for like probably like 10 fucking grand or some shit like that.
Exactly. Like at least Little Samson's a good game. At the very least.
What's also interesting is someone's working on a port of Symphony of the Night to the Genesis.
Yeah. I've seen some in progress footage of that.
I'm not sure how far along they are or if they plan on finishing it, but what they did is pretty impressive.
Yeah. And as you'd said, Tony, it did come to the PS3 not that long after the 360 version. I'm pretty sure it's the same port that they did.
Was it after the PSP version?
I think it's
that
actually...
one was. It said Symphony of the Night was re-released as a PS1 Classics in July 19th, 2007.
So I have that version
before or after the PSP.
I think that's before. Yeah.
So that port. I
remember it differently. I remember it coming out after for some reason.
That port isn't the 360 port. It's just a straight port of the PS1 version.
Yeah, it's just
like an emulation of it.
It's just the PS1 Classics. It's just a PS1 game, which.
But that's fine. It plays just
sure, why not? Yeah. And then there was as we mentioned, the PSP port, and then there was that PS4, the Castlevania Requiem compilation.
Yeah, that's
Tony, do you have
like
this? I assume you have this.
I bought it because it was like $3 one time, so I just bought it.
How is this version on PS4?
It's notable
about it? It's Symphony of the Night.
But
you buy it more for Rondo Blood than Symphony of the Night.
But is it like the PSP version, the PS1 version?
I think it's just the PS1 version.
Is it?
Oh no! You said you could play. Didn't you say you could play as Maria?
I think it is. I think it is the PSP version, if I am correct, which I'm probably not, but I'm sure it is.
Let's see. Let's see. It says it was based on the Dracula X Chronicle version.
Yep, PSP.
So the PSP version of both Rondo and Symphony, and then that iOS one or that phone one that came out in 2020 was also based on the PSP version.
There's no reason that's based on the PSP version.
Yeah, it was probably the easiest to work with.
It's the most recent, so and it has the new dub and everything. So.
Yeah.
Oh, it has a new dub. I prefer the old dub.
Most of us do.
Oh well, it is what it is.
And the best part is all of these are expensive as fuck now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Because Konami does not do a great job of keeping their games readily available. So games like Symphony of the Night have become very expensive. Though it is backwards compatible, the 360 version on the Xbox. I think I paid $5 for it. So if you have an Xbox, you can go up. I think it's normally $10. So, which is not a bad price for that game, but also if you can emulate, it's pretty easy to emulate.
Yeah,
the
Requiem
PlayStation
is
1 and the Saturn version.
The Requiem version is always on sale at too. It's like $3-4. So you can get it easily.
Yeah. So thankfully, unless you only have a Switch, you can play Symphony of the Night and you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
So it is weird this game isn't on Switch.
Yeah.
Like when they did the Castlevania Legacy collections. That they never included this in there.
We can play every fucking Castlevania except for the most famous one.
Yeah. So we have the Legacy collection. That's all the classic 2D ones except for Rondo. And then we got the GBA collection of those games, the DS collection of those games. So the only major 2D one we don't have is Symphony consistently. But then there's the 3D games, which haven't got proper releases yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you think they do a 3D collection?
Probably not, just because those games aren't really regarded highly.
Maybe
PS2
the PS2 games, but
Like, what if they did Legacy of Darkness, Lament of Innocence, and Curse of Darkness as like a 3-pack?
I don't see them doing the N64 ones.
I would love it, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, they can like kind of like remaster them of the N64 games. I doubt they will because it's Konami.
Yeah,
I think we'd be lucky if we got like one of them on the fucking NSO.
You'd be lucky if we got like the PS2 games on the PSN.
Well, yeah, you could.
Probably where they're destined to be, unfortunately.
You could get Lament of Innocence on PSN back in the day because I downloaded it that way.
That's interesting.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Curse of Darkness isn't available. That's tragic. I prefer it.
I don't remember. I only downloaded Lament of Innocence because I found Curse of Darkness at a used game store for $5.
Yeah, and sadly, Curse of Darkness isn't backwards compatible on the Xbox, which is a shame. That would have been really nice, even if it was disc only. But it probably would have drove the price up of that game because Curse of Darkness, I paid maybe $20 for it, like not a bad price at all.
Yeah,
I think Konami likes to pretend the Lords of Shadow thing didn't happen,
which is a shame because those aren't bad games. They're just not good Castlevania games.
Yeah, Curse of Darkness was never released on any digital form.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So just another example of Konami not doing a good job with their legacy. And even with a game like Symphony of the Night, where for the most part you can find it, it's not on PC though, is it officially?
I don't think so.
It's not on PC officially, but I mean,
not officially.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it doesn't have. Yeah, most computers can run it these days anyway. So
any kind of handheld device can run it too. So
yeah,
true.
So. Yeah. Final thoughts on Symphony of the Night, boys. Anything we didn't touch?
We didn't talk about that wonderful credits music that doesn't fit the game at all, but I love it.
What an amazing song.
It's the same lady that sang Snake Eater, and I love it.
Yes. God, what's her fucking name?
Wasn't like
isn't it? No, isn't it? It's isn't it? It's she was married to
Cynthia Harrell.
Oh no, never mind. Different
Harrell,
different person.
Yeah, she actually re-recorded Snake Eater for the remake that they're doing, and it sounds better. I think the remade version of Snake Eater for the remake is better.
Isn't it? Is it a remake though? Because from what I've seen, it looks like it's just like
at the very least
updated graphics. No, I'm talking about like the actual game.
Oh, the game. I was just talking about the song. The game, I'm pretty sure, is just
it's updated assets,
again,
isn't it?
Better.
Yeah.
But
okay.
But the title.
I thought it was a full-fledged remake until like I saw people point out like, oh, those the same exact animations as in the PS2.
Yeah,
the name.
I think we saw some gameplay of it, and it's like, oh yeah, this is just the PS2 game again.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but they made it sound like a full-fledged remake.
Yeah, I mean, this is
we're
asking for a lot.
Though they did re-record Snake Eater, like they got her back in to do that, and the re-recorded version of it, I think, sounds better than the original.
Her voice has aged very well.
Yeah, and for a song and a feel like going for like the Bond spy theme, like having an aged voice really works. Yeah, and she still sounds just as good as she did back then. So props to her.
The name of the song from Castlevania is "I Am the Wind." It has fucking nothing to do with the game. It's just a good song. That's like you listen to it, you just
Is it like because Alucard's a bat and can fly? So
and you can't and you can't skip it, so you have to.
Nope.
It's like when you finish Mirror's Edge for the first time and you hear "Still Alive."
That song is incredible, though.
It's incredible, but it's so random for that game. It's like
it fits better.
It does
fit better. Yeah.
I just always was like, this is a good song, but it just feels weird in this game.
Yeah, but wasn't the song removed from the 360 version?
Yes. Due to licensing, they fixed it with the closing song from Lament of Innocence.
Yep. Admiration towards the clan.
Which is a fine song, but it fits even fucking worse.
Yep. And in the Dracula X Chronicles, it was replaced once again by an original piece of music called Mournful Serenade.
I forgot about that.
Is that any good?
I don't remember what it sounds like, to be perfectly honest.
That's fair.
The fact that nobody remembers it, I think, says it all.
So apparently one of the main reasons why they had to change the song is because Cynthia Harrell is a signed artist now, so it's more expensive to use.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that song, but it's so goofy.
So with this whole Castlevania anime stuff they've been doing, right? Like the first one was based on 3, and then Nocturne moves into Rondo of Blood. Do you think the anime series will hit Symphony of the Night?
I think the future of the anime series is up in the air, isn't it, right now?
I believe I read they're going. Don't quote me on this because I might have misread this, but I think they're going for like an anthology kind of thing now, where they're going to jump around to different games.
Because I'm not sure. Because I think they said that last time I read, they weren't sure if they're going to get another season.
Well,
That might also be it.
the second season debuted in January of this year. So
Yeah, I think it's kind of up in the air, which would be tragic. I haven't watched Nocturne, but I mean,
yeah, I haven't. I watched a good chunk. I think I watched the entire first season of the original Castlevania anime.
Well,
I really liked it.
Well, I mean, the first season is basically a movie split up into like 5 episodes. But I mean,
they did it really weird. The first season's like 4 episodes, and then they did season 2, which is like a proper season.
Yeah, the first season could have just been an anime movie, which I think what was the plan was, because it just like cuts the credits at the end of every episode. But I bought off, like when we did the thing of SuperPod, I bought like all the seasons to watch them. I never finished it.
Yeah. I have them on Blu-ray. I just never. I have to sit down and do it at some point.
I got to the end of season 2. I didn't start season 3 for some reason. I need to go back and finish it.
But what I watched of it, I remember really liking, and people seem to really like the Castlevania anime. Like it kind of brought the game some like mainstream credibility, or like brought it back into the mainstream. And it's funny to me that Konami did jack shit with that.
His second season, I think some people don't like parts of it because it gets kind of slow. But I mean, it's as far as adaptations go, it's pretty great.
Yeah, I really liked it. It's just, it would have been nice if Konami capitalized on it with a new game or something.
It'd be nice if Konami cared.
I mean, they did that. What was the DS collection? That was what, like last year?
That was last year.
Yeah, and it's a great collection. Like when the GBA collection came out, and that was really good. Everyone's like, they should do the DS games, and I think people were a little worried about if they would or not. And then they did, and they were great. And now we're kind of at this point now where it's like, well, what are they going to do next? Like a 3D compilation would be nice, but who knows if they will even bother.
Well, they're trying to. They started like scaring people with all the Silent Hill shit they were doing, like a shitty fucking AI generated series.
Though the 2 remake was good, and F looks like it'll be good.
And Boober's apparently doing 1, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, so I think
there's
the back in play.
The Silent Hill 2 movie that's coming out in like January, which is
I forgot the movie was coming.
If a movie's released in January, it's usually a bad sign.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but it seems like Silent Hill, like the ball has gotten back rolling with that. Metal Gear, we'll see. I think they're depending on what the 3 remake's going to do, but
they fucking need to just release 4, dude. Come on, maybe release 4.
They're working on, from what I've heard, they are doing a volume 2 of that collection. They're just taking their time.
They're trying to figure out how the fuck they're gonna bring 3 over, because 3 is so fucking PS3 coded. It's not even funny.
You mean 4, right?
You mean 4?
4, yeah.
Yeah, well, no. The second one will just be like Peace Walker, Revengeance, like the acid games. They'll just completely avoid 4.
Oh, that's gonna be fucking tragic.
I would fucking love to play.
It'd be the Game Boy game.
They're so stupid.
Oh, Ghost Babel, that'd be a nice one.
Ghost Babel is a great game that has too much fucking codec for a handheld game.
Yeah, but like, yeah, you can tell they're getting the ball rolling. So it's like with Castlevania, it's like I keep hearing rumors that they're working on a new one, but I don't know how truthful that is. What I've heard is it's a new 2D one. Because if they were to do like, say that if they were going to do a remake of a Castlevania game, which one would they do? Like, would they remake Symphony? I don't think that would go well.
That's dangerous ground.
They'd probably remake fucking the first one again. Just remake 4.
I mean, I think a remake of Simon's Quest would be great. You don't even have to call it Castlevania 2. You can just call it Castlevania Simon's Quest if you want. A nice full-on remake of that with modern Metroidvania sensibilities, I think would go over really well.
They can call it Castlevania Bloody Tears.
Like they could, and it would be less of like sacred ground.
Yeah,
you know, because Because yeah, like doing Symphony of the Night would be like, I don't think that would go over really well.
Well, because it's such a perfect game as it is. Like, there's really no reason to change it.
Yeah, I like they'd just be better off just putting that Requiem everywhere. But I guess they forgot. I think they just forgot.
Yeah, they forgot that's even on PSN. They're just like, what's this weird like money that keeps coming in every now and then? It's probably not important.
It says Castlevania. Oh, I guess people are buying Lords of Shadow again.
Yeah.
I'm
they
sure
bought
buy that game.
They bought Resurrection or something. I don't know. Did we release that? I don't know.
Harmony of Despair.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't like that game.
I've
Tony,
never played it with people. So
yeah. Well, Tony, your final thoughts. Symphony of the Night.
It's a classic. That's it.
In say your favorite PS1 games, where would it be?
Oh, it's definitely in like the top either 5 or 10 or 10. Probably top 5, I think.
What about you, Bill?
My list is very RPG heavy. It's top.
It's an RPG, Bill.
It is, but I prefer turn based.
I know you fucking weeb.
It's one of the best. It's definitely top. It's probably top 10, honestly. I'd have to I've never made a top 10 PS1 game list. I have to do that.
I think I made like one time and I forget, but I'm pretty sure it's up there.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Thrak?
Yeah, what about you, Thrak?
I'll say for PS1, it's probably top 5, but I haven't played that many PS1 games. And by less account, a lot of good PS1 games. A lot of shitty PS1 games.
Fair.
But yeah, if Symphony of the Night isn't our favorite Castlevania game, then what's your Castlevania game? Or your favorite Castlevania?
Tony?
So aside from Symphony of the Night,
I mean, if it's your favorite, you can say so.
It's my favorite of the Metroidvanias. So I mean, I think Rondo might be my favorite of the classics. So
Rondo's really good.
Yeah.
I mean,
coded.
Me, it's Portrait. I love Portrait. I guess for a classic Vania, it's Bloodlines. I just love that era. I love the Morris era.
Yeah. For me, Bloodlines is the favorite of the classics of the Metroidvanias. I'm an Aria of Sorrow guy. Like, I'm not a big fan of Soma Cruz. I think Soma Cruz is kind of a whiny prick, but Aria of Sorrow, I think, takes everything Symphony of the Night did and made it better. And I can chuck grenades at zombie soldiers. So
yeah, I've never actually really. I don't think I've really played through the GBA games because that was kind of like I didn't have it at the time.
I'll say Aria is like the closest to Symphony of the Night, so I think that's probably.
I think I played through one of them. There's one that was like it got really confusing, and I stopped playing it.
Harmony of Dissonance.
Probably.
That's the one I don't like on GBA.
I played the one with Spinny Whip Boy.
That's
Circle of the Moon.
Yeah, I played through that one.
It gets confusing at points, yeah, but I like that one.
And the second, I beat that one, and I tried to play the one that was after that, and
that's
Harmony of Dissonance.
Yeah, and I got really confused, and I just said, forget it.
The thing with that one,
Harmony is the bad one of that.
The thing with that is, because Iga wasn't involved with Circle of the Moon. To the point where he claimed it wasn't canon, and then all the fans got really pissed, so he immediately went, "No, it's canon. It's canon. It's just a side story."
Yeah, people got mad,
because
you fucking asshole.
That game's beloved. Like a lot of fans love it.
Yeah, and he only said it because he wasn't involved. You know.
Yeah, because ironically, Harmony was his response to Circle, and it kind of shows.
I mean, it could have been better, but like the map, like the castle design isn't very good. The music is dog shit, and
Juiced is just kind of a boring Belmont.
Yeah, and it's just not a fun game to play. Really, it's more annoying than anything else.
Yeah.
So,
but
yeah, Aria is the one for me. So,
all good games.
You can shoot guns in that game.
I know. What's the special system in that game? It's the
soul system.
Soul system, yeah. That was a cool idea.
System, yeah, where it's basically how you get your abilities is when you kill the enemies and then you absorb an orb of like their like special ability, and then you.
So it's like so it's basically Bloodstained.
Kind of.
Yeah. That's probably where he took it from.
Yeah, that's basically what happens in Bloodstained.
Yeah. But yeah, Symphony of the Night. That's a much shorter episode 2 of 3DOn't.
Yeah.
I hope you all really appreciate that.
Yeah, not a 4-hour slog like my
Not a 4-hour slog of me trying to calm down Bill from going on about his favorite game.
Yeah.
Just wait till the Sonic 3 episode. Anyway,
That'll be fun. That'll be a fun episode.
I'm gonna go off too hard on that one. Anyways, so that was Symphony of the Night. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Tony, for showing up. We'll probably have you on again.
Thank you for having me.
We'll probably have you on again for whatever game. I don't know.
That fucking
Heavy Rain.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, we're gonna do that weird.
that weird fucking survival horror game no one's heard of.
Oh, yeah. We'll do that.
Oh, and I fucking bought these. Oh
yeah.
You bought the PS2 and PS3 versions.
They're different. And then fucking the Road Redemption not Road Redemption, fucking that Becker game, Ride to Hell. Are we gonna play that? All three of us.
I have to order it, but we have to play it. It's.
Are we gonna force the SuperPod to make it a thing, or are we gonna do it for the show?
I don't think.
Can we do both?
We can try because I've been trying to get Mighty Number 9 because I hate myself and hate everyone, and I want everyone to suffer with me.
Look, if Matt can force Legacy of Goku 2, anything's possible.
I mean, Legacy of Goku 2 is a good game.
True.
No,
no.
Mighty Number 9 actually, I think one of my polls actually almost won, but
Tony, here's the solution. You put Mighty Number 9, and then you pick 3 other games that are worse.
3 games nobody cares about.
What was the fucking platinum game we played?
Vanquish.
Yeah, that one beat out in Mighty Number 9 by like 2 votes.
Good.
It was like neck to neck. And I think Danny voted because she's like, "Which one should I vote for?" I was like, "Vote for Vanquish, please," and she voted.
Yeah, yeah. I would say Ride to Hell for this would be. Oh, I'd have to go hunt that game down.
It's coming. It's gonna be here at some point. I got like a European version for like $10 on Amazon. I think there's another copy still available. Bill, if you want to get a PS3,
I'll take a look.
But it was like $10. I know because like other version was like 20 or 30. I was like, I'm not spending that much on that game.
Well, in the next day or two, I think I have to go to the retro game store to do some trading. So maybe if it's there, I'll be like, hey, here's all these games. Give me that one.
Give me Road Redemption, the fucking Becker game. Not Road Redemption is like the fucking.
That's the Road Rash.
That's Road Rash game.
That's nothing.
Ride to Hell. Give me Ride to Hell. Then we'll be like, okay.
They'll just be like, you're getting ripped off, sir. He's like, it's fine.
Be like, this is for content. This is for content. But yes, 3DOn't is part of the SuperPod Network, which is a great collection of all these other various shows. I'm not going to attempt to name them, so don't even try. But of course, we are the sister series to the 3DO Experience. So if you do not listen to the 3DO Experience and you want to learn about the 3DO, come over. We will teach you. So, but yes, thank you all for listening to 3DOn't, and we'll see you for. I think the next episode we're gonna attempt to do is Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. But we shall see. And that'll be in the next month and a half or so. So until next time, everyone. Bye-bye.
See y'all later.
Good night.